from influence, you've been part of brand advertising, you've been part of performance marketing. If I were to ask you to future gaze for a few months, maybe years, because in digital things change over weeks, what are the two platforms that you personally feel are doing well from a performance perspective? And what are the two platforms that you believe are doing well from a branding perspective? What has been your insight and what has worked for you?
See, again, this doesn't have like one standard answer. It entirely depends on the category that you're operating in.
Whatever you've come across.
And the product that you are selling out there. So if it's there are different kinds of consumers, right? There is a new customer who's extremely impulsive. There is a need-based customer. There is a researcher. And there is a loyalist.
Correct.
Now, depending on the business, there'll be higher weightage to the type of customer that you cater to.
Okay.
Most of the brands I have worked for in the recent times have been customers who are heavy on the research side of things, or they have a need. And these are the customers who are going to have a high reliance on Google as a platform, because that's where the discovery and the search of the product happens. Sometimes discovery will happen on other platforms, but at least primary research will happen on Google as a platform. So when it comes to financial products, education products, I would say Google will always work a lot better. When it comes to visual mediums, products which are more appealing to the eye, when it is lifestyle, fashion, display-oriented platforms will work much better. So things like Meta for a lifestyle-oriented product will work much better. If it's a utility-oriented product, then Amazon will work much better. So forget about these two, but let's say we were talking about it a little while ago. Let's say if you want to buy a pot or a planter, you will not go on Google, you will go on Amazon. So Amazon becomes a critical component. Like I said, depending on the category, your native platform will differ. So if I want to order food, Zomato or Swiggy becomes very important for me.
So when you said native, right, I'm just picking on that word. There are native platforms as well. Have you seen them doing well for you in the past?
Unfortunately, I have not worked on categories where that would work. Not native platforms, but a surrogate would be, let's say, an aggregator. Aggregators do tremendously well for financial products. Aggregators do very well for restaurants. So yes, if you can call them native platforms for that particular category.
Interesting. So you're saying, depending upon the category, that's any platform that has come across. What about gaming? It's really gaining ground. We've seen our Prime Minister even talking about gaming, right? What's your take on the entire in-game advertising for categories that you think will work for, and what's your take on that? Gaming is gaining ground, for sure it is. There are lots of people that I know are into serious gaming, casual gaming, and I know for sure that there are ecosystems within India that are developing games for casual gamers. What's your take on it?
Two perspectives. First of all, I mean, the only category where I've seen somebody watch playing a game. So this category is really blowing up, specifically in the teenagers right now. I have a 11-year-old, and not only is he spending hours playing games, but he's spending maybe like an hour plus watching somebody play a game. So yes, this industry is huge. You see enough brands coming in, and to reach out to a certain segment, these will become, the way we spoke, native platforms as such. So going forward, I'm assuming by the time my son hits teenage, I think if I would have to communicate, maybe I'll have to adopt a game and send him a message through a game. So yes, gaming is an extremely relevant and important category right now if you want to reach out to a 14 to an 18-year-old.
And there is, you're saying there is serious audience over there,
Absolutely.
highly
It's just that how you utilize it. See, the way we spoke about like, different platforms and how do you utilize an influencer marketing, gaming also is going to be one of those things. How do you use that platform to advertise? There are going to be different ways. One would be, let's say, in-app advertising, which will be base level display or video-based ads. Second is within gaming, how do you become milestone based gamifications?
Okay.
So how does your brand integrate itself within that game? Third is the way we use let's say content advertising, right? You use in movie promotions.
Right.
Similarly, you can use in gaming promotions also. So how does your brand integrate itself into, let's say when we talk about Minecraft where they are building cities, can your product fit into that game? And you integrate your product so it becomes like an in-game promotion. So those are things where innovations will happen.
Sure. So great insights, Mohit. Taking this conversation further, one of the biggest challenges that a marketer faces is that while you're spending monies on multiple channels of digital advertising, but when it comes to attribution, right, and when it comes to कि यार actually क्या मेरे लिए काम कर रहा है, most of the times advertisers only look at last touch attribution. One of the problems with last touch attribution is that कि उसके अंदर जो large platforms हैं, they typically end up taking the lion's share of the attribution, right? Whether it is from a perspective of search, or whether it is from a perspective of social. Real dichotomy happens is when both of these ecosystems are disconnected and they are working for their own attribution, right? Because they are walled gardens. In that case, how do advertisers see a multi-touch attribution ecosystem? Do you really look at it? Does it really make sense for you? And how do you perceive this entire conversation on multi-touch attribution? So, would like to get your...
Yeah. See, coming from the financial background, performance has always been like the prima facie objective for most brands I have worked for.
Correct.
And more often than not, typically what you end up doing is, like you rightly said, last touch attribution. And across financial products, you'll always end up seeing Google as the one taking away the cake. Which is predominantly the reason why you'll always see most financial products being very heavy on Google as a platform. Now there are two things. Search as a function, search prima facie is a function of number of people looking for either you or your category, which is always going to be finite. So in order to look at scale beyond a certain point, so that and when you're looking at search as your primary sourcing of business, you will reach a stage where it is saturating because you will operate at a certain CAC. Now when you break out of that and you want to increase scale is when you will have to start looking at other channels. When you look at those channels is when you will start realizing that relying on last touch attribution is not the right way to go.
Right, absolutely.
So I've gone through that journey during one of the brands that I worked for, where the first 2 years we heavily relied on search, where we were working on last touch attribution, and we saw business stagnating at a certain stage.
Okay.
And it was important for us to continue to grow. We had to look at other channels.
Okay.
And more often than not, we were not getting the right ROI. So it was important for us to move on to a weighted attribution or a multi-touch attribution. Start looking at different ways of identifying that, yes, Google might be the last touch, but is Google the platform which is helping my customers discover about me? If not, how can I identify the fact that the discovery happens on another platform, but purchase happens through Google as a platform. And the way you do that is identify different personas, and each persona will have a different path to purchase. And it is important to start mapping at which stage which platform is playing a crucial role. So, in certain personas, an aggregator as a platform will play a critical role. For some, Meta or an affiliate will play a better role. In certain scenarios, an ad network or YouTube can play a better role. Which, while Google, but is a completely different way of consuming content, right?
Correct.
And unless and until you start tapping onto those platforms, you will not realize your true potential in terms of having full funnel marketing. Otherwise, if you rely on last touch, what you'll end up doing is you'll only spend money on your bottom funnel and not increase scale, and you'll always discount your top funnel. The only way to increase top funnel spends is start relying on multi-touch and look at path to purchase of a consumer and start giving weightage to what platform is doing what in your consumer's life.
So are you saying that you have actually figured this part out in terms of path to purchase? Do you then start allocating budgets based on that as well?
Absolutely. So the way you would do is you will identify what your objectives are for a certain period. You will say, this is the ROI I need to maintain. And you will start parking certain monies aside for your top and mid funnels. What you do is you look at your past 3 months trend, what platform is delivering my last touch business, and what platforms are actually helping me discover my consumers. And then you say that, how do I reach a balance where my ROI happens at a blended level, where I continue to secure certain amount of business through my bottom funnel spends.
Okay.
And whatever is balance, I will plow back into increasing my top funnel. So
it's not the other way around, that I know my top funnel is getting dried up. Let me allocate more budgets to the top funnel. Doesn't work like that. Is the remnant money?
When you're working on finite budgets, yes. Because there is a certain goal that you're supposed to achieve at a certain CAC.
Okay.
And when that is the case, you have to find money. You're not going to get money. So when you have to find money, what you figure is, how do I optimize my cost to the extent where I am able to save certain monies out of my bottom funnel spends, replow that money into the top funnel and the mid funnel, and start increasing my top funnel. That's the way to look at it.
Very interesting.
The only scenario where it's the reverse is where the budgets are infinite. And you'll see that happen with a lot of startups who are spending VC money, and you see that with the likes of a lot of fintechs doing that, where ROI is not the objective, valuation is the objective.
That's a controversial statement, but I'll still take it. Let's see how the viewers react to that. If, let's say, you were given infinite budget, infinite is a theoretical statement, but let's say if you were given sufficient budget, does YouTube as an ecosystem feature in any of your in your plans from an execution standpoint? Does video, let me rephrase, let's not say YouTube video, because there is humongous amount of consumption that has moved to video. Whether it's the OTT ecosystems, whether it's the the YouTube ecosystem, there is whether it's the traditional media guys owning channels and their channels on YouTube type platforms. What's your take on the entire this video ecosystem? Where do you see it? Do you feel it's upper funnel? Do you feel it's mid funnel? Or do you feel it's research also? So how do you plan for that?
Sure. I'll answer that in two fronts. One is YouTube I'll answer separately, and video I'll answer separately. Video to me is a combination of your upper funnel and mid funnel.
Okay.
and especially when discovery of a product is happening, it's almost going on a first date where you want the other person to impress you enough for you to engage into a second date, right?
Okay.
So unless and until you've created something which will entice me in the first go, I would not want to engage with you again, especially in this cluttered world right now where each individual is probably on a daily basis getting exposed to at least 20 brands. And if that is the clutter you're going through, unless until you create something, either like clickbaity is the word, you're not going to engage with that guy again.
Okay.
So video becomes a very critical component, especially in not just in a visual product, but even on a non-visual product, how you're able to narrate a story and entice his attention. When it comes to YouTube, I feel YouTube is an extremely important channel when it comes to descriptive or education. I don't think YouTube is a clickbait. That would happen more on social networks or reels or like-minded platforms. But YouTube becomes critical for mid-funnel. Once somebody's understood or heard of a product, the chances of somebody going on YouTube and researching on that product is much higher. And YouTube as a platform can be capitalized by the brand in two fronts. One is sell the brand story. Second is utilizing content creators to actually explain what the product is all about, and also showcase both the pluses and minuses from a third party perspective, which is where an influencer / content creator comes into the place. So if it's a finance product, you can in detail explain what the product stands for and how it can add value in your life.
Correct.
If it's a physical product, you can actually showcase how to use the product. For example, if you've let's say if you buy furniture from IKEA, you can actually go through a YouTube video which will explain how to install that product. So YouTube can be used both for education as well as driving awareness. So YouTube plays a very critical role wherever explanation is required. Wherever you want somebody to suddenly lean forward, you would want social to play a role. So a reel, a thumb stopper video will do the trick out there. But yeah, like to your question, video plays a very critical role in today's time. You can't not have a video.
No, that's great insight on the video. So I'm sure from an overall marketing funnel perspective, all these aspects, whether it's using of data, whether it is using of video channel, whether it's about using influencer ecosystem, I'm sure all of it plays a huge role. What do you think is the other challenge that a marketer faces from an inside organization perspective? These are all distribution channels, right? At the end of the day, you need to have the right wherewithals to even service those customers that you're talking to. What are those challenges from a marketer perspective that as a marketer you face internally or you faced internally that you think if resolved can help you utilize these channels better?
So three things. One, the most crucial for any digital marketer, which is data. I think everybody understands criticality of data, but yet most organizations have 50 different systems that don't talk to each other.
Right.
Also, the reason why there are 50 different systems is because each vertical wants data in their own manner. So what is required is essentially at the top, somebody needs to understand how each data point is going to get used and why that unified data system is required.
Okay.
So I have not come across an organization who actually truly has the one view of customer which everybody has been aspiring to.
Okay.
But hopefully soon.
Okay.
Second is technology. I think in spite of having so much of transformation on the digital side, yet technology and MarTech are not necessarily converging. So a technology guy is deciding what MarTech platform should be adopted primarily from a technology point of view.
Okay.
Whereas the consumer experience and marketing need has to be looked at first.
Correct, absolutely.
So that's the second space. Third is right resourcing. Resourcing is done on the basis of budgets and not on the basis of need and the experience that you want to build. So
ये तो बहुत ही controversial है.
see, the reality is that when you look at a marketing function, you are still building resources basis marketing structures. But when you want to build experiences, you want to compare yourself to the new age fintechs or the new age startups and technology companies.
Right.
So while spending, you want to spend like a conventional organization, but you want to build an experience of a new age organization. You have to realize the new age organization was built identifying the gap that is there with conventional organizations.
Correct.
So you want to ape the experience, but not the delivery, and I don't know how that can work. So I mean, these are three broad areas which I feel within the organization has to change. Startups are doing it. Startups are doing it very well because they start off with these 3-4 hypotheses. They are very clear in terms of either the gap into the market or the consumer problem that they are trying to solve for. They know exactly what is it going to take for them to solve it, and they are building capabilities and capacities to deliver that output. So they do it very well. But they also have the benefit of starting from scratch versus any evolved organization has already seen a certain amount of journey and they have to recalibrate. But as far as, like you said, internal audiences and leadership understands that, this transformation will also happen.
So, fingers crossed. I'm hoping that whatever you are saying turns true in the next round of our conversations. And before you go, I'll just move to the last section of our session, Extra Talk. We want people to understand you better, Mohit, and not too many people have gotten this opportunity of speaking to you candidly. I know you as a person, so I know that you always speak candidly. You're a matter of fact guy, and it's never about the flowery language. So I'll quickly get on to a few set of questions where people will get to understand you even better beyond your role of a marketeer.
As far as I'm not caught off guard, I should.
No. It's and you can choose to be diplomatic about it, but the more candid you are, I believe people will get to know you better. So these are just rapid questions. Whatever comes to your mind first, or you can choose to take your time. Search or OTT?
Search.
Mumbai Indians or RCB?
Neither. Manchester City.
All right. Display ads or video ads?
Video.
Beach or a desert safari?
Beach any day.
Now you've stayed in 2 states, and of course you've stayed in many states, but your recent stint has been in Mumbai and earlier stint was in Gurgaon, and you are back in Gurgaon. Mumbai or Gurgaon?
I'll never be able to answer that. There was a time when it was a very clear answer and it was Mumbai, but having spent more than a decade in Gurgaon now, I would like to swing both ways.
Pav bhaji or vada pav?
Vada pav.
Branding or influencer marketing?
Branding any day.
Last question, and I know the answer, but would still want your audience to know, cats or dogs?
Not had either, so not too sure.
All right, so that's it on the rapid fire question. Thanks a lot, Mohit, for being candid and as always true to your own self, and thank you very much for your time today and coming over, being part of this extra talk conversation, trying to get more insights from an active marketer. We want to have real conversations. मैं चाहता हूँ कि लोग जो इस ऑडियंस जो इसको सुने वो समझ सके कि एक मार्केटर किस पर्सपेक्टिव से काम करता है, एंड not just talk about the froth. We want to really taste the coffee. So thanks a lot for your time today, and great opportunity talking to you today.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Nitin, and for like making me do this. I don't think I would have done this otherwise, and I don't know if I was any help.
No, absolutely.
I'm not somebody who uses jargons or flowery language, so I don't know if anybody is going to make any sense out of it. But yeah, whatever came to my mind is what I spoke.
So thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.